Festival of the Lost has returned to us. And I'm not gonna lie, guys, it's a bit buggy. So much so that the event has actually been extended by an additional week to November the 11th. Now, although for some it has been quite buggy, I will say the content itself has been pretty good. Everything here is free. The armor sets can all be acquired via Bright Dust. Yes, there's things like skimmers and I think some shaders that you have to pay some money for. But I gotta say, guys, this is a hell of a lot better than Lost Sectors again. If we got Lost Sectors again this year, that would have been it. I would have literally loaded up Destiny, looked at the first Lost Sector, and closed the thing down. At least this year we have Altars of Sorrow with the Festival Spin and a Rumble game mode, which happens to have a headless one which spawns in the middle of your Rumble match. On top of that, we have 2 new weapons and 1 returning Festival weapon. And just like Solstice, tier 5s for this event are reigning. Today, guys, we're gonna go over how to get started, how to farm for each of these items, how to navigate around the unfortunate bugs, which I'm really hoping gets addressed very soon. Now, just like every other event in the past, guys, it all begins with good old Eva Levante right there in the tower. You can go to her and grab the classic carving quests and get your Festival of the Lost mask. Now, the masks are pretty cool this year. Eva's going to give you a tier 3 mask, but you can get a tier 5 version as well. And if you go into where your mods are for it, you're going to notice at the very end, there's a new mod slot where you can actually choose a set bonus out of all of the armor set bonuses you've unlocked so far. It also says this reduces the requirements for its set bonus perks by 1. So essentially, you only need 1 piece of the actual armor set to get the first bonus and only 3 pieces to get the 4 set bonus. Definitely take advantage of this, guys. Even if you're not going for a 4 set bonus piece, the 2 set bonuses, whether it's the 2-fold or even smokers, is so good. Now, additionally, it also says that this armor will count toward relevant reward score multipliers and the new gear bonus provided by the seasonal artifact. But do keep in mind, guys, these benefits will expire at the end of Festival of the Lost. But for now, this is a great thing to take advantage of and something you'll be able to take advantage of for the next 3 weeks. Now, after equipping your mask, your next step in the quest from Eva is going to task you to complete Haunted Altars of Sorrow or Crucible Red Rumble. Now, these are your 2 main event activities. Let's start though with Haunted Altars. This is a 6-player activity that combines Altars of Sorrow from Shadowkeep with additional mechanics from Onslaught. You're even going to be picking up moats and banking them like it's gambits and the same summoning ritual that we used back in Season of the Witch. Now, the altar is sort of counting like a portal activity, you can't actually launch it from the portal. Instead, you're going to need to go through the event home to do so. You'll see the tab here on your left, you'll click here, and then you can see all the activities, Haunted Altars included. Now here you can either matchmake in Master, Grandmaster, or Ultimate, or you can even customize your own difficulty settings and go in with your own pre-made fire team, or even play it solo. Now, most of the modifiers here are pretty much the same things that we've seen since the Edge of Fate, but there is a new modifier called 10-gallon mode, where combatants may be wearing hats. No lie, they look good, man. I'm liking the hats, dude. I didn't know my enemies needed hats. Now, if you shoot the hats, the enemies will drop them, which you can then pick up. Now, picking up these hats during the activity actually gives you a scaling damage bonus. At 1 stack, this is a 10% increase in damage. At 5 hats, this is going to give you around a 50% increase in damage. And get this, you can max out at 13 hats for a whopping 130% increase in damage. Now, funnily enough, the hats actually go all the way up to 62 stacks, but 13 hats is the cap for your damage buff. Also, if someone is looking at you in game or you emote to see yourself in 3rd person, your hat size actually scales with your hat stacks. Look at that thing. You may also notice some ads wearing red hats. Now, unfortunately, when you shoot these, they don't drop a hat, but instead create a solar explosion with a larger AoE, dealing damage to nearby enemies. So good for damage, but doesn't necessarily contribute to your hat stacks. Now let's talk about Haunted Altars. This activity is still very similar to Altars of Sorrow. I'm not going to cover every minor detail considering just how long Altars has been around, but instead focus on what's changed about it and how it works currently. When you load in though, you're going to want to make your way over to one of the altar plates marked on your HUD. After capturing the plate, a headless one named Sir Skullduggery will spawn and basically hide himself in the altar, and you'll need to bank treats in order to progress. Now, just like the original altars, hordes of enemies are going to spawn out of other nearby altars, and your job is to clear them out and defend your altar. Now, it's going to start at tier 1, and this first tier is very straightforward. You just kill enemies and occasionally a mini boss named Greedy Ghouls will spawn, who once killed will drop treats, which are essentially these motes that you need to collect and then dunk. Now you can hold up to 30 of these motes, and you can see how many you're holding at the top of your screen. Now you're going to want to return these to your altar to bank them. You will need to bank 80 for your first tier 1 stage. Now I will say, guys, picking up the motes can be a bit buggy. You may find that if you run over your motes, despite you physically running over them, for whatever reason, they're still on the ground. This is where the Gambit meta comes into play. Guys, go over to your class item, and a mod that you can put on your class item that we use all the time in Gambits is Powerful Attraction. You see, it states that it automatically collects nearby orbs of power when you activate your class ability. However, this also works with motes. Now, if you put on 2 of them, it'll have an even larger radius in which you can pick up the motes on the ground when using your class ability nearby. So in my case, I'm using things like Phoenix Dive, and it's picking up many of the motes that are on the ground pretty much instantaneously. Bank the first 80 though, and after those treats have been banked, your objective is going to update, and it will say alignments flipped. Now this is when you want to look at the enemy altar, the same one where all the enemies have been pouring out of. A Shrieker will be spawning above it, and you'll also notice a shielded boss. Now what you're going to do here, guys, is you'll see these like rock formations that you can do damage to, and it's under that rock formation that you'll find a Hive Ritual Circle. It's here that you can invoke Hive Magic, which will flip alignments, essentially making the Shrieker above you, which was just tearing you up, into a friendly ally Shrieker. And yes, it'll sit there and attack pretty much all the ads around you. But the main one that you wanted to attack is the boss that has the immune shield. You see, it's the Shrieker's damage that will break that immunity shield. Now, if you're in a situation where you are playing solo, or the Shrieker's just doing too much damage to you, you could shoot the Shrieker from afar, get it to about half health, and this will actually close the Shrieker, allowing you to push up and find that Hive Ritual Circle and invoke that Hive Magic a little more safely. Now, I do want to mention, guys, that the game, or most notably this activity, is a bit buggy. It could be a bit laggy, and at times it may even take a bit after you use the Hive Magic for the shield on the boss to actually go away. What I found is actually clearing out the other ads around to make sure the Shrieker is focused on the boss only. Speeds this process up a bit faster. Now, after killing this first wave boss, you'll now enter a brief rest period. This is where it's like Onslaught. It's here that you can actually spin treats that you've earned on some Onslaught upgrades, and you can see the amount of treats there on your screen. You could spin it on things like turrets or tripwires. Now, I will say if you have a full 6-player team, even in matchmaking, guys, you really don't need to purchase it, but at the same time, why not? For the most part, I just purchased the turrets, and yes, just like Onslaught, you can also upgrade them. And you'll even need to purchase some upgrades in order to earn one of the masks, which we're going to talk about here shortly. Now, after this, tier 2 will start, which is pretty similar to the first, except now we're going to be dealing with 2 enemy altars. And we're also going to need to bank 120 treats to progress. Now, just like the previous one, once you've banked the treats, you'll have to flip the alignments, except this time there will be 2 alignments here. So essentially 2 Shriekers to deal with, 2 Hive Rituals, and 2 immune bosses, which takes us to the next wave, tier 3. Tier 3 again is very similar, except this time there's now 3 enemy altars and 160 treats that you'll need to bank. Now, the main difference here though, at least for day 1, is that this wave features dread enemies, which are definitely more challenging. Subjugators will be spawning in, you'll be getting yoinked all over the place. I would say with a full 6-man team, even in matchmaking, you'll be just fine. But I was running the solo, and boy, it got pretty hairy there a few times. If we didn't have Devour, we would have got ate up, man. Now, after completing tier 3, this is when the final boss round will start. Here, you'll make your way to the center of the area, just like you would in any altars activity. Up the stairs, you'll be met with an immune headless one. You'll see some husks flying in the air, some thralls on the ground, and various hive summoning circles. Now, the objective here is for you and your team to invoke all the hive magic on each of these spots around the boss. And upon doing so, it will cause the Shriekers to start shooting at the boss, which will then remove his shield, allowing you to deal damage to it. Then once you get the boss health bar depleted halfway, he'll go immune again. And you'll just need to rinse and repeat invoking the hive magic to get the shield lowered once more to continue dealing damage until you defeat the boss. Now, after you've killed the boss, you'll then be able to collect your loot from the chests, and if you happen to be on Grandmaster or above difficulty, and you're a high enough light level, you will be netting yourself tons of tier 5 drops. Now, this is where we need to talk about one of the big bugs affecting us today, that being the bug right here on the final boss. Currently, right now, guys, you can soft lock yourself if you kill it too quickly. Matter of fact, for the first health bar, guys, you want to take it slow. You probably even want to let the Shriekers do most of the damage. Use your primary weapon, or just don't do damage to them at all. Now, there is a few workarounds. I've been told that if your entire fire team wipes, even if you soft lock the boss, your run is not completely lost. Granted, I had a few issues myself where everyone on my team was kicked, but they were able to join right back up. But upon doing so, none of the altars would even load, therefore making our run pretty much a wash. I would say for the time being, guys, after you break the initial shield of the boss, just take it very slow and easy. Don't use your supers. Wait until that second health bar to actually go balls deep. Now, Bungie is well aware of this bug, hence why they actually extended Festival of the Lost by 1 extra week. Their suggestion was also to wait for 10 seconds until the streakers close, and then complete the damage phase to avoid the soft lock. It's unfortunate, guys. I hate bugs. It shouldn't happen. Whatever the case, though, this is how it works, and this is how we can avoid it and or work around it. And hopefully, Bungie addresses this very soon. Now, if you're not really into altars, or maybe you just don't want to go through the frustrations of possibly getting soft locked, well, look no further, guys, than Red Rumble. This is pretty much identical to normal Rumble, that being free-for-all PvP, but the difference here is that a Headless One boss will spawn in the middle of the map and will continue to move around to different spawn points throughout the entire Rumble game. Now, when you deal damage to him, he'll drop things like ammo, fake Ingrams, but also motes, which actually count towards your score. Matter of fact, when you kill him, this can give you 3 points toward your score and drop 5 motes that you can collect. You can literally win the game if you can effectively kill this boss before anyone else. Now, the problem is while you're doing this, your normal PvP opponents are going to be trying to kill it as well, or most likely killing you. I like it, guys. It's an overall pretty fun take on Rumble. It mixes things up. I found myself loading out things like Lucky Pants and Hawkmoon, and I would actually work up stacks on the boss and then use my Hawkmoon shot to one-tap opponents. I think my favorite loadout, though, was Barrel Dyad and Peacekeepers. It was so easy to build up stacks against the boss, do many instances of damage, and on top of that, get my super very fast, which made for some pretty interesting games. Now, could you ignore this boss and just kill other Guardians? You can, and for the most part, you could dodge most of the boss's attacks. He does launch these pumpkins, though, that if you're in a confined area, it does a pretty decent amount of damage and will mess you up. No lie, after playing my weekend of Arc Raiders, I wouldn't mind if Bungie amped up the difficulty of this boss. Like, literally made it to where when he spawns in, he could run around and just literally one-tap people, essentially forcing opponents to stop killing each other and instead put their focus on it. Now, I will say the time for these matches go pretty fast, and you can even load in with the fire team. So if you and like a team of 3 or team of 4 want to go in and focus the boss, you could do so. At the same time, this also leaves opportunities for those guys to just grief everyone else. So I very much ask anyone loading up into Red Rumble not to do that. But again, for this game mode, guys, mess around. Having a good loadout against other players is definitely beneficial considering it's Rumble, but see what you can utilize against the boss. If you want to do Lucky Pants and Malfeasance, go right ahead. If there's a particular PvE loadout that you feel like would shred here, give it a go, man. The boss is fairly tanky, but who knows? You may have the loadouts to deal with them quickly, and you can literally win matches this way. So good luck to you. Now, getting back to the quests, regardless of whichever activity you selected, completing your first activity should complete step 3 of the quest. And the next step is now going to ask you to claim your event rank reward, which is a pterodactyl holochip in the event home tab. Next, you'll want to go visit Eva again at the tower, and she'll now ask you to purchase a festival mask mod from the haunted mask tab, also in the event home. And we're going to talk about the actual mask and how to unlock them in just a moment, but for now, you can claim the first mask upgrade, Sugar Crash, for 500 candy. Now, this upgrade reads that picking up a piece of candy generates a weakening pulse. Now, only one mask upgrade can be active at a time, and activating a mask upgrade will deactivate the others. Now, there's 2 other upgrades here as well. You've got Sweet Shielding for 1,000 candy, which reads that picking up a piece of candy grants an overshield, as well as Candy Devour for 1,500 candy, which reads that picking up a piece of candy grants Devour. Now, for now, you only need the first one, and after unlocking this upgrade, it will complete this quest step, and then we'll ask you to speak with Eva again, where you can then claim an Eerie Weapon Ingram, which will finish this introductory quest. Now, with the quests now completed, let's go over the rest of what Eva has to offer, as well as this event home tab. For Eva, you can focus on an Eerie Ingram, and this is 750 candy to do so, which can be a tier 5 Ingram. Now, I'm not sure the exact requirements here, but we do recommend being around 400 power and guarding in rank 9 to guarantee a tier 5. Now, you can also focus for exotic armor. Very similar to what you can do there with Ada and the 20 slips that I know many of us have already gone through. Here, you can also focus on specific archetypes for your exotic armor pieces, and this will cost you 2,500 candy, which is fantastic if you're trying to hunt down a very specific stat roll. Now, underneath, you probably noticed notice the exotic class items that you can purchase for 2,500. Now, I'm not sure if this is a bug or a feature, but this is actually dropping 2 class items at once. That's right, guys. 2 for 1. Bungie is literally begging people to play this game, man. You might as well take advantage of it. Now, for our event home, it's almost identical to the previous events, but with 1 extra tab. Your homepage is going to have your daily and weekly challenges, which award event tokens and XP upon completion. You can also get your event pass with the typical rewards like Eerie Ingrams, cosmetics, currencies, materials, reroll chips, as well as some tier 3 Hollow 4 versions of the new SMG Gunburn, as well as the new bow Hush Whisper and last year's shotgun Arcane Embrace. Now, the second page is going to be your quick launch page for both of our activities, that being Haunted Altars and Red Rumble, as well as the Tower. Page 3 is the reward shop, where you could purchase reroll chips for silver. And then for event tokens, you could purchase materials like Ascended Shards, Exotic Ciphers, Ascended Alloys, Enhancement Prisms, Enhancement Cores, and Glimmer for various different costs. And then you can also purchase weapons and Eerie Ingrams as well, but the max tier seems to be tier 4. Now, page 4 of the event home is going to be the event title Ghost Rider. And then finally, we have page 5, which is your Haunted Mask page, where you can earn the new masks from this year's event, which is very nice because in years past, basically all the masks were locked behind silver. The fungal mask is going to require you though to shatter 10 void crystals and defeat 100 combatants in Altars of Sorrow. Again, the void crystals, I know we didn't really go over them a second ago, those actually drop motes, and you'll see them periodically spawn around the map in Haunted Altars. Orange Mask will ask you to defeat 5 headless ones throughout the system and complete 20 waves of Haunted Altars. Lodi's Mask asks you to collect 200 pieces of candy and complete 20 festival activities. Oryx also has a mask which asks you to defeat 25 Guardians in Red Rumble, very on brand for Oryx, and collect 500 pieces of candy. The Grim Mask says to dunk 150 treats in Haunted Altars and defeat 750 combatants with void damage. And then finally, we have a failsafe mask, which says to purchase and upgrade 15 defenses in Haunted Altars and defeat 50 combatants with these gourd grenades. Now, if you're wondering what these gourd grenades are, guys, as you're doing Haunted Altars, you'll notice these pumpkins that spawn in. You can actually do damage to them, and when they break apart, you'll get a bunch of these pumpkin grenades, which are these grenades that you'll need to use to defeat combatants in order to get the failsafe mask. You can actually use the grenades to do damage to combatants if you so wish. Then at the bottom of the page, there's also these upgrades that we talked about earlier. Now, overall, these masks are pretty straightforward to unlock. Some are more time consuming than others, but there are a few things to know. For the fungal mask, which requires you to shatter 10 void crystals, again, like we mentioned a second ago, guys, you'll see these while you are running Haunted Altars. So just be on the lookout for them, and once you destroy them, you can just go over there and pick up the treats they drop, which will help contribute to your objective. Lodi's Mask says that you need to complete 20 festival activities. You could just do altars, but do keep in mind that the Rumble games are also really good because the matches only last around 5 to 6 minutes. Now, for Oryx's Mask, you do need to defeat 25 PvP enemies, which is great because you can actually join up with the fire team inside of Red Rumble and just kill your friends over and over, which I'm almost certain should work. Now, this brings us to what many of you are here for. What is the best candy form? Considering that EVA is selling so much high tier and exotic loot, maximizing candy is very beneficial here. Despite what the event overview says though, as long as you are wearing the mask, you can earn candy outside of the portal activities. But do keep in mind, guys, you will not earn the event weapons unless the activity has a Festival of the Lost bonus drop. You can see it in the icon present in these activities within the portal. And the event activities themselves grant even more weapon rewards. And at least from what I've experienced with the event activities, they pretty much give you tier 5s from everything in the portal. I was getting things like tech sec armor and a number of other pieces and weapon drops that I wouldn't think would be available even in Haunted Altars. With that being said though, here are the activities that we tested. If you've ever AFK'd inside of Destiny, the Dreadnought Maze is a classic form. You can simply hop on over to Solar Titan, pop on Phoenix Cradle, throw on a hammer, and just sit in your sunspot. You can earn 500 candy in roughly 15 minutes, which is pretty good for little to no effort. The downside though is that if you do get unlucky with spawn timings, your sunspot can disappear disappear. And now that Bungie considers all macros that automate gameplay a bannable offense, this does require you to restart the sunspot manually. But if anybody in here has been AFKers inside of RuneScape, hey man, clicking every 10 minutes or so, no problem. Now I will say you don't earn any weapons from this. This is just a way to passively get candy. And yes, you can snag a checkpoint from D2 checkpoint bots on Twitch. We'll have that link down below, guys, if you want to check that out. We'll even give a dim link for the Titan build in the description as well. Now for general portal activities, you can also just run those with the Festival of the Lost bonus drop. But the focus disappears after a single run, so you won't be able to farm the same activity. But this also means you can play a variety of activities, which may even coincide with your bonus drops anyways. Now I will say it's by no means optimal, but this takes us back to Red Rumble. Red Rumble allows you to queue up with a full fire team. Matter of fact, you can go in with 6 people. So you can essentially load up with all of your teammates and have a full custom game, which had us thinking, if you're essentially in your own custom game, can you feed a single person? Ending the game in roughly 2 minutes and everyone gets loot. Well, sort of. From our testing, as long as everyone had at least 1 kill, you should all receive an event weapon, but candy rewards were extremely reduced. The person who's slaying out would always get candy, but everyone else would get nothing. So I believe Bungie has built in some type of participation threshold to ensure that you can't just AFK for candy here, but it would require a lot more additional testing to find out. Normal game length though can vary, but is limited at 10 minutes and usually runs somewhere between 5 to 6 minutes. Upon completion though, you can get somewhere between 120 to 200 candy. Now, I will mention most of the drops you're going to be getting will be from the Crucible loot pool, not necessarily the best method for farming, which takes us to Haunted Altars of Sorrows. The main activity here is actually the best activity to farm, when of course it's not bugging. It takes about 15 minutes to complete, and you earn close to 800 candy per run, as well as multiple festival weapons per completion. So essentially, more candy plus the extra weapon drops. It's easily the best method, although not something you can AFK. If Bungie gets these bugs figured out, this will be the best way to go. And if you're a low light or even low guardian rank, weapon drops are going to be higher than what you can purchase from EVA. Try not to get soft locked and you're golden. Now, if you have zero interest in farming this event and you haven't uninstalled the game yet, I would recommend picking up the free Bright Dust. There is a new shader you can spin it on and an error code Weasel mask that you can buy for the bank breaking price of 404 Glimmer. That's it, guys. That is your Festival of the Lost guide for 2025. I'm glad Bungie finally gave us some new stuff, even though it's not really technically new. It's newish, but it's way better than what we've gotten over the past, I don't know how many years we've been dealing with Lost Sectors. I can only do Haunted Lost Sectors so many times. I like that they gave us a splash of both PvE and PvP with both Haunted Altars and Red Rumble. Good luck to every single one of you that's going to be farming. We'll be doing weapon reviews for each of these weapons this week, starting with the SMG, and we'll also be doing build battles, as I want to see whose builds can most effectively solo Haunted Altars at ultimate difficulty. Fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching, and as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.